Karen. Nice to meet you. I'm Laura with BoomX Beauty Beat. We've been chatting, but I'm super excited to finally meet you in person. Well, on Zoom, sort of in person as we get. Right now, anyway. Yeah. So how you doing out there? You're in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, we're in North Vancouver.
Yeah. And just to explain, Karen owns and runs is Kalina Movement. Where'd you get the name Kalina from?
It's my name in Hawaiian.
Ooh, that's so neat. Right, and you do yoga, you do dance, and you do Pilates instruction classes for every age, really, right?
All the ages.
Yeah, all the ages. So we're going to get into the reason I was super anxious to talk to you was, of course, to talk about you, but we're in a really obviously unique situation right now with COVID and you running this studio. I don't know if anybody knows about what Vancouver's like for prices, but it is not cheap to live. It's not cheap to run a business. It's really, really expensive. And here in Canada, because we've got people watching from all over, we've had a weird situation where we've had closures and then reopens and closures, and you just think you're coming out of it, and then closures again. And hang in there because we're going to talk about that a little more later. But I wanted to first of all talk to you about your history and how you kind of got into this. I was just doing a little bit of reading on your childhood in Long Island and playing street hockey, doing little shows, all the great kid stuff. And for some reason, that whole, talent show movement, all that stuff really kind of sung in your heart, and it became a passion, I think, is how it started. I'm just guessing. I don't really know. Tell me a little bit about it.
So I started dancing when I was 3, like most little girls do. And you either stick with it or it's just sort of like a recreational thing and you probably move on to something else. But for me, it was like, that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I did lots of ballet, lots of jazz, lots of tap. Growing up back east on Long Island and in New York, those were like the predominant things.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
And then you had like doing all that, when you were doing it, did it just move you inside? You just thought, oh gosh, I want to be a dancer like that?
Yeah. My big dream goal was, to be on that stage, but also to have a studio. From a very young age, I wanted to have like my own studio.
Yeah.
And, create a space for people to come and move. And like back then it was all dance, but then as time goes, like I used to teach aerobics.
So cute. I remember leg warmers. Come on, I'm 50.
I both back in the day. So obviously I've always been moving. Dance was my major in college. I got to dance with some pretty cool peeps. Mia Michaels was definitely one of my favorites. I'm not sure if you know who.
I don't know the dance world, but I'm going to look up Mia Michaels because it sounded like that was a bit of a mentor for you, and so I'm going to look that up. Mia Michaels. Some of you out there might know who that is, but
on the original.
You have an incredible resume for sure.
Yeah, I've done it's been fun. I've had a weird with all the ups and the downs, all in all, life is fun.
Well, I wanted to talk about when you said downs, because I was reading a little bit about your journey. I think that you did a contribution to a book, didn't you? Did a contribution for, I'm just trying to find the name of the book, Dynamic Women, Confidence Secrets?
Yep. So, I've done that one, and then I just did a second one.
What?
Women of Worth. Yeah.
Wow. So that's a go. The Women of Worth. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Amazing. But in that, you explained there was a time, I think, that you were married and you kind of were veering away from your path and had to make a decision. Is that sort of what happened? Can you explain about that a little bit? I think that happens to a lot of women.
Yeah. So, we get into like, we do as much as we can to follow our dreams and like that childhood thing. And then I think you kind of come to a crossroads.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was still doing my thing, but I was also in a marriage that like it obviously wasn't working.
Yeah.
And nobody ever really wants that. Like, you want it to work, and like we were fairly like the picture perfect couple at the time, right? But yeah, like my insides were not well. Like my insides were like fighting to like stay inside this box that I thought was where I should be, and my insides were fighting so much that they exploded inside my head and gave me shingles.
What was the box that you were trying to fit? I'm curious to know, because I'm wondering if other people experience this box.
I think it's just like, I don't know, nothing's picture perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all have our underlying things, and for this, I think it was me not having had dealt with enough of my like my past and just bringing it into this, and we just weren't aligned.
Right.
Like, we weren't aligned on many different levels. And we also both fought for the spotlight a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not from here. I'm from New York. So I just kind of fit into his world.
Mm-hmm.
And then still trying to be in my own self, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just an unfortunate struggle. And in that time that I had shingles, like my mother-in-law took care of me.
Is that everywhere on the body, shingles? Is that everywhere?
It can be. It's like specific places. So shingles is when you get chicken pox, it stays in you, which is why they're now giving kids the vaccine to not get chicken pox. And maybe hopefully avoid having shingles later in life. But
yeah.
I'm not quite sure that's the solution. I think it's stress management.
Yeah. You also had another disorder happen at that same time I was reading. It was called something I hadn't heard of before, Ramsay Hunt.
Yeah. So when you get shingles, like inside, my whole face went numb. One side. Like just one side. So it looks like Bell's palsy, but if you don't catch it quick enough, it can creep behind your eyeball and make you go blind.
What? And it just went away after you changed your stress and all that, or what happened?
I was in bed for a month.
Oh my God. I got something in my mouth, don't mind me.
And for me, who's like a mover and a shaker, to be in bed with a month, and I had no balance because I couldn't hear. Right?
Scary.
You just gotta be in that. You just gotta sit in that and really be like, so I've got a lot of time on my hands. What am I supposed to get out of this?
So did you have any worry that it wouldn't go away, or was it something that goes away?
The pain is what like you have like, and like sort of that after nerve, like, because that's what it does. It attacks a nerve, a specific nerve, right? And so I had to have a lot of acupuncture to get rid of the residual, like,
oh my.
So there are times, like if I'm like borderline burnout, I'll get little like numb face.
Little residual bits.
Like it's like a reminder, like go have a nap.
Yeah.
Go sit down, go take a minute.
Your body doesn't mess with you if you don't take your mind-body connection. Woo!
And your brain can be a really great story. You're like, oh, you're good. No, we're good.
Yeah.
But stuff stays in your body, right? That's why like trauma, people's past, like trauma, like sits in like our softer tissues, right? And you're like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that they don't know for sure, but you know, I was explaining I have fibromyalgia, and I'm in a bunch of fibromyalgia groups, and I have a lot of fibro friends, and I mean, their situation is like a slightly different. Everybody has different symptoms, but basically it's a nervous system disorder, and they don't know what it comes from exactly, but they're saying trauma is like one of the big, red flags to it all. And that's for life. You don't get rid of fibro. Once it's there, you can manage it as best you can. And we were talking a little bit about the possibility of you maybe researching further, because I'm finding a real desperation for specialty movement help for people with fibro. They can't do a lot of the regular exercise routines that you see online and stuff like that. They need something that would, but you have to move with fibro, otherwise it gets worse. Some people just stay in bed and they just think they want to avoid the pain, but it gets worse and worse and worse. So, I have to go for a walk every day. Otherwise, 2 or 3 days of not, it's bad. But I would love to learn if it's something that I could maneuver and handle. Plus I've got back problems as well. Something within your classes that could speak to those people who just are desperate, like no one's paying attention to them, and there's hundreds of millions of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you're just getting like these little suggestions. Like you need somebody to almost make like a specialized movement sequence for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. And even having an online community where you're not feeling alone with fibro would be so amazing, like having a Zoom group or something like that, because it is very isolating. Yeah. But that's, neither here nor there. I'm talking about myself. Okay. But one thing I want to say is that, with somebody like yourself, you've done the work. You pay attention to your, trying to do positive thinking, and your philosophies in life are so positive. But when you getting nailed with, so many negative things, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I mean, you went so far as you went to Kenya and you went to Uganda helping women with HIV to do Pilates, dance, strength training. I mean, that is not your average person. You go above and beyond to help, and I'll talk about more in a bit, but what was that experience like going to Uganda?
Wow. It was amazing. Like, I think every person has the place that they're called to go. Like,
yeah.
A lot, I do know like a lot of yogis who spend so much time in India and right? Or like people who go to Nepal or different places. And my place, like that my insides really needed to get to, was Africa. And, you could look at it in many different ways. Like when I started having acupuncture for shingles, it started opening up a whole other side to Karen, right? Like these deeper layers where I was like, why do I keep dreaming about being in a circle with all these beautiful children?
You mean almost like you're getting a feelings, like visions, almost opening up, almost your chakra? I don't know anything about yoga, but
all these little points.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild. Yeah. So that's how that kind of started percolating. Okay.
So it was about me understanding why I was supposed to go there.
Okay.
Right. And so a lot of it is based around women, working with children, and figuring out what these women need to get through a day besides just learning how to do a job, because that's what they were doing. So the place that I went was called Living Positive Kenya. And so these women were not born necessarily with HIV. It's that they had a child with their husband, and then they were going to have the next baby with their husband, and then found out that they're HIV for the second baby, but didn't have for the first baby, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a different life down there.
Yeah.
And then their husband's like, oh, well, now you have it, so I got to go. And now they're left with however many babies with this diagnosis, and you don't know how long you have. And so the lady who runs this, Mum, M-U-M, Mary, she she teaches, like brings people in to teach these women how to create their own businesses to make money to live.
What kind of businesses were they doing?
They do, like, because you've seen like African crafting.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, like the beadwork some of these women can do, the hair things some of these women can do, the things they sew. The project that I would love to work on getting back going with them was yoga mat bags. One of the ladies, I took money that I fundraised a ton of money. I put on a big, massive production downtown Vancouver, and we took this money to Africa. I allotted money aside for her, and she bought the fabric with this money and made all these yoga mat bags, and that was like one thing, and yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying, is that your heart is to give and to do and to benefit others. Okay, so then now what happens let's talk about your current situation, because I want to take enough time to focus on that. You went, just quickly before we start there, even in the pandemic itself, you took is it like a flash mob, or is it like a little gang, and you went and can you explain what you did with the retirement homes and other things?
Yeah, so I decided to name my little dance crew the Kalina Curbside Crew, KCC.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and so most of them are people who take my adult dance class. So I teach here at my studio, but I had been teaching for 14 years across the bridge over in Burnaby at the Shadbolt Center. And my classes over there, have been the same people for 14 years.
Oh.
And the same with my clients on this side of the bridge. We've been our community and our family, and we add more people in. But so these guys would drive across the bridge. We would show up. Amica is across the street, so a couple of them might come with me, and we just dance outside the perimeter and get people out on their porches, their patios, their balconies, or just in their windows, and they'd open up the windows so they could hear our music and have a little boogie. And if their bodies were not super mobile, they would sit and do more chair dancing, chair yoga with us. And yeah, so we did that also outside the Evergreen House, which is by Lionsgate Hospital. And then we would perform in flash mob in front of the ER at the 7 p.m. cheer.
So awesome.
And then they just invited us back just before this last shutdown. And no joke, the night before the shutdown. And we filmed a dance thank you card for the hospital foundation, the people who donated money. So, there's still joy and hope to be spread.
Yeah, of course. However, where are we at? Give me the scoop as to what the situation is right now. I'm taking a sip of water for this.
Today, the scoop is I am waiting again for new guidelines before I can say, hey, yoga people, or hey, dance people, or hey, toddler dancers and your moms, and parent and toddler yoga, my mom and baby class. My mom and baby community is quite big, and it's really quite sad because now they're back stuck in their homes.
Yeah. Can you walk me through since say, was it March, April when things started can you give me the whole, how long this has been going on for, stretch it out and just kind of explain the roller coaster ride that you've been on?
Back in January, February, I was getting ready to sign a 5-year lease, a new 5-year lease for my studio.
Yeah.
We were like this. We've been through our first 3 years of business. Things were looking amazing.
The magic 3 years, yeah.
Got this. And then the quiet hush conversation started in March about what might happen. And then as of March 16th, that was the day that nobody showed up for Pilates.
Yeah. Empty.
I was there by myself. No announcement had been made yet, but the people were freaked out and they weren't coming.
Right.
So I then turned on my Facebook Live and created Kalina Moves Online Facebook group, and showed up here every day, once a day, and did a class every day for my people online.
So did they at least come and watch you on, it's kalinamovesonline.com, right? No, wait, Facebook group.
I did a Facebook group because I really wanted the community feel, right? And then it allowed people from New York to pop in. Because they're in a different time zone, and you didn't have to be on Facebook Live the same time as me, because once those videos are saved to that Facebook page, you can open it up anytime it works for you.
Right. And was that something that they had to, that they paid for, or that you were just providing, that they paid to go, right?
I did like a 1 month trial, and then because we had no idea how long this was going on for, I was like, well, here's a 1 year deal. A really good one. Come on in. Because then people who have that 1 year subscription, if things got better or they didn't, those videos are always there unless I delete it, right?
Right.
And people, one day when we can travel again, but we can't make our regular class, you could just hop on there and there's a class. And
how was the response to that?
It was good. But then you realize how many people aren't on Facebook.
That's true.
You're like, you're not on Facebook? Wait. So, and then there comes Zoom. So then we created Zoom classes. And then what else? I mean, we quickly settled into that new normal for those 4 months of shutdown time.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty adaptable.
Yeah, you try to be. I know.
What needs to be done? What's the solution? Let's go do it. Go.
Yeah.
I'm a hustler. There's no time. We just what's the answer? Okay, great. Let's go.
Yeah. But is the online thing? I mean, you've got a big studio to pay for. Is it enough to cover those kinds of bills, or not quite? Or there were some touchy moments with my landlord. But he also was the landlord who set up our rental assistance, right? Yeah.
Everybody in our little building, there's me and 2 other businesses downstairs. So she applied for the rental assistance, and that was a lifesaver. It really was. It did lift a heavy weight.
Is that over now, the rental assistance thing?
That one is over. Apparently there's a new one coming, but that's on me to do. So now I need to set some time aside and do some reading in my spare time, which right now this week I have some, because now there's a lot of classes I'm not allowed to teach. So
what are the rules? What do you mean you can teach some and you can't teach others? How's that working?
Well, you can do individual reading.
That's not going to pay the bills.
Which is why a place that offers personal training is allowed to stay open right now.
Oh.
There's a lot of confusion this time.
Okay.
It's not, why is Steve Nash Gym open when we can't be? I only have 6 people in a class right now. That's it. Before this whole thing, I had 14 people, no questions asked.
Yeah.
So now that's less than half. That's with over 6 feet in between each mat in all directions.
Right.
What goes into it now, okay?
Yeah.
And I know every single person that comes in and out of this studio every day, every hour of the day.
Yeah.
Because if there isn't a class going on, nobody's here. The only other human who comes up those stairs is my mailman.
I don't get it, because I haven't heard anything. I paused my fitness place only because I had to get some back surgery, but I was going to the gym, and during the thick of it, and there was you wipe your little machine off, but there was no, and it was full of people. There was no holds barred in there. How's that?
And you probably didn't have to wear a mask at the time.
No mask. No.
And and I'm not saying don't go get your sweat on, but like my studio is not based on sweating. It's based on like physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we don't offer hot yoga. We're not offering power yoga. I'm not saying you're not going to maybe, work up some intensity on your Pilates mat or your Pilates machine, but we're not a high risk category. People are coming to me for rehab.
Yeah.
Right? Like because their physio has said, hey, go do Pilates.
Right.
Right? It's, and that's what Pilates is. Like it's very rehab based. It's a workout, but it's very rehab based, and like everything here is a little bit more technical, it's just a little frustrating.
No, go on. You were going to say something. You can go on. This is our little time. We can take as much as we can.
Yeah, like the more times we confuse our clients, the less likely they are to come back.
Yeah, because I think to do any kind of routine takes a lot of psyching yourself up as it is. For me, anyways, I'm not naturally inclined, so it takes that, messes with your head.
When you look at statistics, the reason why people create 21 or 30-day challenges is because that's the least amount of days it takes to create a routine. The least days.
Yeah.
If you make it past 30 days of a routine, like you're more likely to stay in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If I don't create a routine just with going for a walk, a week will go by and nothing, and then you stop thinking about it, and before you know it, everything's falling apart. So what are we going to do? And there's a couple of things I wanted to mention as well. In this interim, when things are getting, really stressful, you started a GoFundMe account, which initially was just to kind of get you through rent and stuff. And you still have that GoFundMe account. Originally, you wanted to kind of pull together 5,000, and now with this going on and on, it's like a big question mark, or just a continuing need right now until this is over. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that account is still open, my GoFundMe, because I feel like we're gonna need it.
Yeah. Are you getting some supporters on there?
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of has been quiet since everybody's been back to business, right? But now we're back here. We're back here, and we knew there was a second wave coming.
Right.
We all know that is not a surprise, or how did this happen? No, it's science and it's like statistics, right? Like these things happen. So I just don't think we all thought that we would have to completely stop again, right?
Yeah.
Like there's tape all over the floor, and there's tape in my hallways. Go this way, go that way. Enter this door, exit at that door. Here's your hand wash. Get your sanitizer on. Right? So you're like, what is happening?
Is this not because you're such sort of an earthy, warm, sort of spiritual person, all of this, just doesn't it feel like against the grain completely from what your, spiritual calmness is saying? Like it's really odd. Right?
Which is why but also which is why people prefer to come in person, because the energy that we've created in this space, which is honestly why I just hang out here by myself.
Just
right? It's when people walk in the door, they're like, oh, oh, this is nice. And you're like, hey, like, welcome. Like,
Because there's an energy. There's an energy feel.
well, and that's why people come in person.
Right.
And once they've been here in person, they're like, oh, I don't know if I could do online. I was like, I know, but it's not forever.
Yeah.
So just try it, because that's still our sense of community.
Yeah.
And a huge example is like my mom and baby class. Especially for like the first time moms, like you need that community around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to ask questions, to move, and to just be.
Yeah.
And so last week was our first like online with the mama babies, and we had a nice like 10 to 14 moms online. And what did they do? Exactly what you and I are doing. At the end of class, Lindsay and I left the call on, and they all just sat with their coffees. And
oh, nice.
like, because that's right. Like, I'm not saying like come here and like sweat it out. Great, but we're a community, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And that's what's so needed. I mean, we have to have it. We're humans. We have to have a sense of community. And it sounds like you built such a beautiful one. It just feels like it's being so messed with right now.
Stop messing with me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
A big, like, glimpse into people with isolation and anxiety in this time, because my husband suffers that.
Yeah, I completely relate. I have bipolar disorder, and I go through, all kinds of stuff, but I went through a really long bout of just my panic disorder was off the chain. And so I can relate to your husband, but you're carrying the weight of the family when you've got somebody with, having some issues. And I mean, you're doing it beautifully, but it's not easy.
Last week was my week to cry.
Yeah.
I just sat, like, every time I got in the car to come up here, because we're walking on eggshells, because we don't know how long it's gonna last. Right?
Yeah.
We were going good, and then we're like, wait, something might happen. Oh my gosh! And so last week was just my week.
Yeah. So you're feeling like kind of it's a mounting sort of tension. Are you feeling tensions mounting?
Yeah, and for me, my tension sits here.
In
my throat chakra, and then I'm like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. So you're trying to be strong, but it's good that you're crying, because it's got to come out somewhere, right? Like what?
Was my angry day.
Sorry, say that again?
Yesterday was my angry day.
Yeah, angry too.
One day to be angry.
Yeah, like tell me about what you're angry about, because I want to hear the anger side of you, because I think that there's a lot of people feeling that too, but they don't say that. They're just kind of letting it build up. So it's good to voice it.
Yeah, like they look to us as the business owner for some guidance right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, you must know, you're the business owner. You must be getting a memo somewhere to tell you what to do. No, I'm not getting nothing. Like,
you're not getting anything.
Like, I mean, yesterday what happened was in the middle of a work day. Like, they're sitting there on the news at 1 or 2 p.m. Like, I'm working. Most people are working. I'm going on about my day. I have no idea anything's happened.
Yeah.
Or that something's coming. Like, something happened while I'm here, like, busting my butt, doing my job, working. Going to get at school, going to get the groceries. Like, I'm still just in my workday bubble, and then I would start getting text messages, and people are like, so I guess it's off? I was like, now what?
I don't even know what's good. You know what? I stopped watching the news. So I really don't even know what's most up to date. So what did happen yesterday? What's the new news? I don't even know.
So it originally was no hot yoga, no spin, no high intensity interval training, right? So things with sweats flying off your forehead. We're the don't do things, or don't do them in an enclosed space. Go outside. Okay, so that meant like we were okay. People started having dance classes again. People started having yoga again. People started doing strength training again, like whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Then yesterday they decided, okay, so it was 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We're like, 4 days. You're good for 4 days. And then yesterday, you're cut off. No more, and now they're giving, no more stretch conditioning.
What's the rules? No more stretching?
No more stretch conditioning, no more dance again, no more cheerleading, no more no more other yoga at all. And what they're I was like, you realize that yin yoga and restorative yoga are literally you just laying on a mat in one stretch for 5 minutes?
Right.
I'm laying on a pillow like this for 5 minutes. So I'm doing 5 minutes.
So I mean, there's basically, they're going to say no breathing allowed.
And technically in Pilates, one of the cues that you're supposed to say is inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. All my people have been wearing masks this last month for everything. I was like, don't take your mask off. You're doing Pilates in your mask. And people are like, Karen, you're crazy. I said, tell me something I don't know.
This is just, I was going to ask, the mask situation when they're trying to do.
But then I found out that you didn't have to wear your mask at your workout station.
Oh my God, it's so confusing. Okay, so let's pretend we went to the news, for example, to complain. What would we complain about? And what could we get done or ask to get done, if we were to speak up a little bit?
So we would ask to get done the guidelines. If you want us as business owners to follow these new guidelines, lay them out.
Yeah.
Before you make us shut our doors.
Right.
Because that's what we felt we were doing in that 2-week time. We just had a pause.
Yeah.
In 2-week time, we were asked to resubmit a new COVID safety plan. 14-page document.
You had to submit?
14.
What?
I submitted a 14-page document to an email address that when I sent it in, I got an automatic reply that said, we've received your documentation. We're really, we are obviously really busy contact tracing, so don't email us again. We have your email.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to call me and tell me we're good?
Yeah.
Is there, when I apply for my residency or my immigration, there's a phone number I can call to check up on the status?
Right.
No, there's nowhere for me to call to check up on the status. I called some random number from BCH, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, no, you just email. I was like, buddy, I did email. And then they just tell me not to email them anymore.
And you don't hear back. It's crickets. There's crickets. There's nothing.
It's kind of like me submitting my American taxes every year. I'm like, I guess you got it. I don't know.
So to be clear, you want them to clarify the guidelines. They should have a phone number to check in. I'm just going to write this down. So they should have a phone number.
But because the whole reason we were shut down for those other 2 weeks was for them to create new guidelines. I'm like, well, it's been 2.5, almost 3 weeks now. It's been 3 weeks. You've had 3 weeks to create guidelines, and instead of hopping on that quickly, now I'm sitting here waiting until on your website now it says I have to wait till November 30th for the new guidelines. I'm like, is that accurate? Then people are confusing me with community events. They're like, oh, but I thought it was December 7th. I was like, no, that's if you want to go to the Stanley Park train for Christmas. That's a community event.
So, I mean, this is just confusion, mayhem, confusion.
And my ladies are like, so is there yoga tonight or not? I'm confused. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm going to say it's online for this week so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone's going to come knocking on my door.
Holy moly. Well, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea to write up the complaint, and I've got a few news connections, and then I will email or help you email some news people to see if they can't, use the media to put some pressure to clamp down on what they're doing to you, because the confusion and chaos is not allowing you to pivot any way or make any decisions, because it's just constantly up in the air, which is the real killer. Because it's not like you're not a person that's willing to come up with different ideas or try different things. They're just so crazy. They're so crazy on how they're dealing with this. It's impossible. What's that?
Let's just put this into perspective. I used to be a server. I used to be a bartender. My husband now, we met at the Roxy, and I'm like, so I've had my serving it right, and like I've worked in that industry. So please don't get me wrong that I love that industry, but I cannot go to any of those places in that industry right now and be okay with coming back here to serve my people.
Right.
I can't go to a restaurant with my husband on a date night. Like you go in to a space, and just because you go in there with your immediate household, you're sitting amongst 10 other tables of complete strangers.
Yeah.
Complete strangers.
Yeah.
And you're only wearing your mask to enter when you leave your table to go to the bathroom and come back. Otherwise, you're sitting there in however long it takes you to eat your meal of food and have your wine without a mask on, talking the whole time.
Yeah. It's so bizarre because, you go to a cafe, and the cafe is so, some of the cafes, I'm in Victoria, are so tiny, teeny tiny, right? And you go, you've got your mask, you sit down, and you're eating your table, like they don't have very much room to put the tables apart, and it's full as it can be. But you put your mask back on, like it just doesn't make any rhyme or reason sense, like common sense.
I know restaurants are taking your contact info for contact tracing, but I've had one instructor who had to self-isolate from going to grab a coffee with her family. So there she is for 14 days. She can't teach because someone in that facility, like in that space, tested positive. So now she's out of work for 2 weeks. Holy moly. And like, they obviously did the contact tracing there, but like you're in it's all faith, trust, and pixie dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no real financial support for business owners right now, like to get them through, or
it's like, unless I'm gonna owe a bank more money.
Right.
I'm
That's a lot of fun.
This far, I don't want to owe people money. I want to owe as least amount of people money as possible.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's just more stress, more pressure.
Like how much control? I can control who comes in and out of this space. There are no more drop-ins at studios. Like you can't just show up and be like, hey, I just signed in on my app for the 4 o'clock class. No, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Every single class that's here is a pre-paid, pre-registered class pass, and you are signed up for this 6 classes.
Yeah.
And I can document, right? Like I know every single person who's here. Like I had some of the same clients for 17 years that I've lived here.
Wow.
They started when this was a different studio. I took the studio over. They're still with me. They still come to the same day and time that they've come to for 15, 17 years.
You know these people.
It's like hanging out with my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. Well, I think that we should do that. I think we should write something up and submit it and see if we can't get anything sorted. I don't know if that's going to solve everything, but it'll at least feel better to be proactive. And then what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to be attaching, of course, all of your links down below. And, if people want to support you, definitely we know the online classes are going to be rolling. So those are going to be a sure thing. And of course, then you don't have to worry about safety, blah, blah. So just, if you want to experience Karen's classes. And are there other instructors as well? Is it mainly you, Karen?
There's a team of 5 of us now. I went from having 13 teachers before COVID to there's 5 of us now.
Oh man. So I'm going to do everything I can to try to support you and in the business. And if you think you've got a class that can handle a broken down jalopy like me, then I'll certainly look at signing up. I'll sign up for anything I physically can possibly do. I'm getting surgery, like 2 more surgeries coming up for my back. So it's kind of, yeah. What's that?
Fill me in on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're trying to ablate the nerves to stop the pain because the pain is just ridiculous.
You have something you could maybe do.
Ooh.
Yeah, my friend and I, we just created this, a magnesium sound bath.
What's that?
Right? Do you know what sound, like those big, beautiful crystal bowls that are like their sound therapy and healing, like, and they just,
yes, I get migraine, so the sound, I can't have too much sound, but it sounds beautiful, but as soon as I tune in for like a minute or two, it hits that.
Yeah. Okay, well, you just come for the magnesium bath then instead.
Okay, sounds good. I hate that I'm so defunct.
But there's other like, so what you would want to use instead of Teresa's crystal bowls would be like, I have an app that has music.
Ooh.
It's set to the same frequency, but it's not as like the pitch.
Yeah.
You know what you're saying with that pitch. So you could use that music. That's what my daughter goes to bed. She calls it her meditation music.
Oh, nice.
Says, I'm ready for my meditation music, Mom. I'm like, great, sleep time. Here we go.
So if you want to feel better, if you want to move better, if you want to do better, just contact you. So you'll fix them up, something. You'll have something. Yoga, Pilates, any kind of bath thing sounds so cool. I'm in, whatever. I can do it. So, okay, so I'm going to put all the links below. I'll say goodbye for now, and then we're not done yet. So we're going to do a little bit of work. And I'm asking any ladies out there that have any ideas or any help or any suggestions, or can even just straight up go to the GoFundMe account to help you out. Just go to the link that I'm going to put in the description box below. And, we're going to try to do the best we can. These people and these businesses are there for us all the time. Let's give back a little, people. Let's try. That's what I'm trying to do with this, and subscribe to the channel, and, let's give back for sure. Okay. So nice to meet you, Karen. Bye for now, but not bye for very long. Okay, ciao.